Hi guys, I'm Danielle from Eat and Mess. So today we're going to show you how to fill a cake with ganache and cover it in ganache. It is a very simple process. The biggest concern you'll have is getting the ganache to the right consistency to fill the cake. But first of all, I'm going to show you what we're going to need. So we're going to need our cake sponges. I've got 6-inch vanilla cakes here. Vanilla and chocolate ganache go really well. We've got our Agbe cake leveler. We've got our cake board. It's a 6-inch cake and we've got a 10-inch cake board here. And it's a lovely white cake board. We have got a bowl for our cake tops to go in, and we've also got our turntable. We also have our angled palette knife and also our medium and small scrapers. So that's all we need to get started. First things first, you want to make sure you have your ganache ready. I use a 1-to-1 ratio for this. So we use the same part cream to same part chocolate. I use a 54% chocolate. I heat my cream until it's kind of like medium temperature, add my chocolate, and then we put it in the microwave again until it's fully melted. Or you can use a bain-marie, but I use a microwave, it's just a bit easier on like a low setting. And then we leave it to set. You can leave it in the fridge, but I leave it to set at room temperature until it gets to about this consistency. Okay guys, so it is smooth, but it's kind of doesn't easily drop. It kind of drops like that off my spatula. So we're going to put this to one side for a minute, and then we're going to cut up our cakes. So our Agbe cake tool here, so we've got at the front here, we've got numbers, which basically, if you put the same on each side, it is the same level on both sides. It's a nice level cake. I tend to use the top numbers for shallower cakes and the bottom numbers for deeper cakes, but I just know all my cakes are actually set at number 6 here. That's just how deep my cakes are. You guys choose what you want, but that's just what I do. But just make sure they're the same, both sides. We're going to unwrap our cakes. They're covered in cling film to keep them nice and moist. These were baked about 3 or 4 days ago, and they're actually still super moist. So cling film is really important. We haven't been able to find something else to cover them in. Cling film is just the best. So we're just going to turn them over, right way up, uncover them. Ooh, Nelly. So we're going to cut all 3 cakes at the same time. Obviously with the sharp edge facing forward on a nice flat counter. Any bumps in the counter, just try and get a nice flat counter because you won't get even cakes otherwise. We're literally going to pull this across the cake. It's so easy. Use a sawing action to pull it across the cake, like so. I'm going to use these cake tops to make cake pops. So we just take these off, and there's a cake pop tutorial on our YouTube, and literally just pop these off, just like that. And we're just going to put them to one side. We have our tools ready, our angled palette knife, and we've also got our medium and small scrapers. Our cake's cut, we've got our ganache to the perfect consistency for filling, and we're ready to go. So we secure the cake to the base of the board, and we do this with a little bit of ganache. Very small amount, just on the baseboard there. Grab our tier, pop it on here, give it a little squidge down, and then we're going to plop a bit of ganache on there, and we're going to literally get our palette knife and move the ganache around the cake. Move it to the edges of the cake. I use my palette knife at this angle, so this angle just here, and literally scoot that around the cake. If you want to go take any more ganache off, you do a slightly deeper angle, it takes more off. Lower angle just keeps it nice and level, which is what we want. I am going to put the next layer on, and then oh, that's quite a lot. I'll probably take quite a lot off that one. Okay, now I'm going to just literally level it off, so I'm going to put it quite flat. Lovely. Okay, cool. So let's put the top layer on. Give it a little squidge, just make sure it's a little bit even. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to get my junk jar, just like that, and here it comes. So we're now going to smooth the edges. So I'm just going to smooth the top edge very carefully. Bear in mind this ganache is quite soft. So we don't want to scoot the cake round too fast, otherwise the cake may go flying. So let's put the excess ganache into our junk jar. I'm going to scoot this up. Right, I'm just going to make sure that we've got a nice flat edge. So I'm just going to go around this, keep turning our turntable, just make sure it's nice and smooth to the cake. We haven't got any big bubbles of ganache. So I'm just going to scoot around, get a nice flat edge. If there's a big old lump of ganache, when you do your next layer, you're going to have to try and scrape over that lump of ganache, which is not going to be fun. So actually, that is pretty straight. If I needed to sort of move it, I can get down to this angle and move the tiers accordingly. But to be honest, that's pretty straight. I just keep down at this eye level, keep turning it around, making sure it's nice and flat. It's in the centre of the board, which it is, and I'm just going to grab my little duster here, so it's just a little paintbrush, dry, and scoot any crumbs off the board. So we're going to put this in the fridge. It doesn't take long to fridge and set. So Ganache, it's really, really quick. 15 minutes max, and then we'll bring it out and then cover it in its covering of Ganache. Okay guys, so the cake is set, it's been in the fridge, nice and firm. So we're going to apply the Ganache covering. So we've got some Ganache here. I've actually just melted down the old Ganache we have. It's a bit more of a runnier consistency. So it's thick, but it's not as thick as last time. So you want it a little bit more pliable to work with. So we're going to apply a thin layer. So I'm just going to show you one layer here, but obviously you can apply 2 layers to make it more covered. So we're going to use our angled palette knife, and we're going to scoot around the top. So make it nice and flat. Sometimes you get little chocolate lumps in it. If you do, just scoot them out and scoot them into your junk jar. Sometimes it does happen when you're kind of reheating and bringing Ganache back. So we're going to scoot that down, angle our palette knife, a bit of a deeper angle, so you can see the cake more through the Ganache. So we're going to now scoot off any excess on the side, just like that, and get rid of some of that on the side as well. She'll be fine. She'll go away in a minute. So we're now going to start building up the sides. So I start from the top. So because it's a bit runnier, you might find it's not as easy as buttercream. You might need a little bit less on your palette knife. So we're going to literally scoot a small amount back and forth. I've got a little lumpage there, I'm going to scrape that off. Scoot it back and forth around the cake, going along the top line first. Ganache is lovely, it's really nice and smooth, it's so easy to work with. You just got to know how to pick it up, just be really gentle with it. So I'm going to go back and forth, just like that. And then we're going to now start scooting towards the bottom. So a little bit more. Going round and round and round. Cool, so that is that. You can leave it like that if you want, and just kind of like a rustic, loggy look. Right, now we're going to start scraping round. So I start scraping more towards the bottom first. See this angle here? I start kind of getting the bottom to where I want it to first. Ganache builds up and it's quite soft quite easily, so don't put too much on here. It'll just end up flopping all over the place, so get rid of that quite quickly. Right, so it's a kind of good, it's scraped back enough on the bottom. So now I'm going to start flattening out the top. Lovely. And all we need to do now, there's 2 ways of doing this. You can either leave it like that and use a knife, leave it like that, put it in the fridge to set and use a knife to scoot off and create a really sharp edge. Or you can do what I do with all the buttercream cakes, which is literally scoot off the top edge like that, and then scrape each time. Okay, get rid of that. Then we're going to literally flatten off the top edge, keeping the palette knife quite flat to the top edge. We're going to get rid of this little lip here, and we're going to scoot round really quickly, and it's going to make it shoot right up. So scoot round really quickly, it's gone up. We can leave it like this. This is a really cool technique with a raw edge. Obviously this is only a crumb coating, so it's what you do when you add the next coating, but you can actually leave the chocolate cake like this, it's quite nice. So what we're going to do is, we're going to flatten off the top edge. So the small scraper, I'm going to scrape across the top edge like this, and every time in between I'm going to scrape it on my medium scraper. Okay, like that. And that's a pretty crisp. There's a little bit of a lump here. It's good to come down to this eye level here to see where your lumps and bumps are. I know I've got a little bit there. I'm just going to be very gentle. If you let this set and then use a knife to go over it, it's like super, super sharp. But for the time being, I'm just going to show you this. So we're going to use our little small scraper and we're going to scoot off all the excess here. So I'm just going to go use small motions and go round the cake. Like so. Lovely. Now if I was going to apply another layer to this, I'd leave it like this, to be honest, and then I would tidy up later, but I'm going to leave it as like a semi-naked covering. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tidy up the board. I'm going to use a food safe wipe. I'm just going to scoot around the board, get any chocolate off the sides of the board, just like that. I'm going to get the wipe into like a little point and get real close to the cake. So push it down, get nice and close and scoot around the cake. Slowly, don't go too fast because you'll end up dipping into the cake and doing something silly. As soon as it starts to build up on the tissue, on the wipe, use a new little section. Yeah, amazing. So that is all set and done. That is just simple ganaching a cake. You can go on to put a second layer on this. You can do, you know, an edible image on this. This is a great base for an edible image. I'm actually going to do a video on this next. So if you want to have a little look at it, it's on our YouTube channel. Thanks.